Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us today for this session on the ESCP Business School Master in Management program. My name is Jeanne Weckler and I'm in charge of marketing for the program. I will be your host today, so to speak. I just wanted to give you a little bit talk about the rules of the game, before I introduce ask my co-hosts to introduce themselves. So the session is, the presentation portion of the session is designed to last about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, depending on how much we talk and how many anecdotes we have to share with you. You may ask questions at any time during the session. I see already 2 people have posted questions. Thank you very much. My colleagues here will be answering those questions as we go, and then we will be taking the rest of the questions live at the end of the session. I have disabled the chat just so you won't be confused as to where to post your questions. And last but not least, a recording of this session will be sent out to you tomorrow. So no worries if you missed something or you have to leave a bit early, you will be receiving the full recording of the session tomorrow. So with no further ado, I would like to ask my student ambassadors to introduce themselves. On my screen, I see Malaurie first. So Malaurie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey guys, hey everybody. So my name is Malaurie and I'm an M2 student at ESCP. I'm French, but to be very honest, just French on paper. My background is very international. I lived in a lot of countries, including the US, China, Poland, Italy, Spain. So really moving around my whole life. My background is in business administration, and I've joined ESCP in 2019, done my whole M1, Master's 1 in Paris, then took a gap semester to intern in a blockchain and fintech startup, and rejoined ESCP classes in Berlin in January, specializing in AI and big data. And right now I'm in London, just started classes yesterday, specializing in banking and finance. So that's about me. I've joined the student ambassadors about 1.5 years ago, and I'm super happy to be here and meet you guys.
Great, thank you. Yu-Ning?
Yes, thank you, Malaurie. Thank you, Jeanne. So I'm Yu-Ning. I'm originally from Taiwan. Probably not as internationally exposed to the world as Malaurie, but I also did my bachelor in German studies, and I did a 1-year exchange program in Germany, after which I directly applied to PMY, so PreMaster Year in Turin, and I spent around 1 year there before COVID hit basically everybody, where I basically just fled back to Taiwan and started preparing for internship, etc. And then I interned at Shopee, a very big e-commerce company here at Southeast Asia. And then afterwards, I basically spent my whole M1 here in Taiwan back home online, which is actually also a very interesting experience, I would have to say. And then afterwards, right now I'm doing an internship at Porsche, so the car manufacturer company, Porsche in Taiwan. And then I will be taking a gap for the next semester. And in January, I will be returning back to Berlin and continuing what Malaurie just mentioned, the AI and big data specialization. So I'm also very happy to welcome you guys here, and feel free to shoot any kind of questions in the Q&A section, and we'll try our best to answer to all of your questions. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. 2 very interesting students that we have with us today, so I'm sure you guys will have lots of good questions. So as an introduction, ESCP Business School has 2 most important things you should know about us. Not 1, but 2. Firstly is that we're the world's first business school because we were established in 1819. Way back then, we were established in Paris, which is still our headquarters and our biggest campus. But the other most important thing to know about us is that we have 6 campuses across Europe. As Malaurie and Yu-Ning both just illustrated, we have campuses in Berlin, London, Madrid, Paris, Turin, and Warsaw. So what that allows us to do is deliver you a cross-cultural education really seamlessly across those countries because you are attending classes at ESCP. You're not at a partner institution. It all starts here as ESCP's slogan, because we are providing you cross-cultural business education, as I mentioned, but with a global perspective on management issues. We have a really strong connection with the business world, which has a lot to do with the fact that we are actually located in the cities where we're located. So there are some schools that say they're in Paris, they're in London, or whatever. We're actually within the city, which makes it easy for working professionals to come and teach classes, but makes it easier for them to come and recruit our students, to have company presentations, and also facilitates visits of companies on site. We have 170 full-time faculty members, 800 affiliate and visiting professors. Many of those are the working professionals that I spoke of. 68,000 alumni working on every continent across the world. Those are very important people in your future. Those are people who are going to help you find internships, they're going to help you find jobs, they're going to help you find suppliers when you're looking to launch your product in a new country and you need to find the right ad agency or whatever. Those alumni are going to be very, very useful people for you to know. And finally, we currently have 8,000 students enrolled across all 6 campuses, and they represent 118 different nationalities. Along with our 200 years of existence, we like to say that we have a history of excellence. We measure in 2 different ways, one of which is through accreditations. We are currently accredited by the AACSB, which is the United States, and by EFMD, which is the European accrediting body. What I like to tell students is, regardless of where they end up studying, I definitely recommend that you look for at least one of these signs of excellence, because it really is a guarantee of the quality of the education that you're receiving. ESCP also does very well in the rankings. In the Financial Times and The Economist, those are ones that we use as international benchmarks. We are ranked number 2 for our Master in Finance and number 6 for the Master in Management worldwide. The Economist is ranked the MIM number 4 in the world. So, who is the Master in Management for? You may be asking yourself this question if you joined us today and you don't know that much about the program. It is for students who have a previous degree in any discipline. That's as demonstrated by Malaurie and Yu-Ning. Malaurie had previous business studies, but Yu-Ning came from German language, so you don't have to have previous business or management studies in order to join us. You also do not need any previous work experience. Although, to be honest, it is a plus when you are completing your application. And on average, the students entering the M1 year, so the master cycle, they have a 1.5 years of work experience, which typically are internships, but not only. What we are looking for, though, are internationally minded and academically excellent candidates. No way around having those good grades. You need good grades to get into ESCP. So what is the Master in Management in a nutshell? It's a general management program with 2 specializations at least, and you can choose up to 3. We currently have, and I haven't updated the slide, I apologize, I missed that one. We currently have 62 specializations on offer. They keep growing, and 140 electives to choose from. You can take the course over 2 or 3 years of study. I'll touch on this a bit later. Actually, Yu-Ning is an illustration of this. She started in the PreMaster Year and then is continuing on for the 2 years of the master cycle, as I said. So it'll be a total of 3 years of study. Malaurie, on the other hand, went directly into M1. So that would be 2 years of study. Sorry, I hope the lingo, I'm not throwing too much lingo in already. Hopefully you'll pick up on it a little bit. M1, M2 are very French term, that's French terminology. M1 is first master year, M2 second master year. So another really important part of the program is that internships are an integral part of it. We require you to have a minimum of 9 months of professional experience upon graduation. Again, the 2 student ambassadors today are a great illustration of that. Gap semesters or gap years is a great way to get that internship, that work experience in before you graduate. Very important and very unique to ESCP. The next point is that you can obtain up to 5 degrees without actually leaving the ESCP campuses. Again, I'll describe this a little bit further in the next slides. But another very unique thing about ESCP is that we help you build your cultural intelligence by studying with 1,200 students from around the world and by studying and living in different locations. So I would like to ask for a little bit of participation from your side and ask you to answer the survey. Which region of the world are you from? So it's a pretty simple question. ESCP Master in Management students are represented by over 50 nationalities. Which region are you from? Oh, I launched the poll, but okay. I wasn't seeing any answers. I was a little bit worried that the technology wasn't working today. Oof, just took a second to catch up. Okay, great. I can see a lot of people are participating. Thanks. It's not a real tough question, but you're probably multitasking as one is wont to do when one is attending a webinar. Okay, we're getting close to completion. I'll just give you another second or so to finish up. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. So, interesting that the representation today is similar to the actual makeup of our class. So 55% of the students today are in Europe, 37% from Asia, 2% from Africa, North America, 3% from South America, and 1% from the Middle East. Thank you, those of you who have gotten up extra early to join us, and those of you who are staying up a little bit later to join us. Oh, it's not too late yet in Asia. So let me now show you, what our class looks like. 78% of our students come from European countries, which makes sense because that's where we're located, right? From our 6 different locations. And 22% of our students are coming from the rest of the world. You can see that France is a significant portion of our student base. And that largely has to do with the fact that it is the biggest campus, but also because of the education system in France, which sends many students to a pre-master year before they start in the master year. And so we have a lot of students who are coming in to our pre-master year from France. But in any case, we do have students really from all over the world, which is a great way to learn. So jumping right to the end, what happens when you graduate? You have a great, the ESCP Master Management has a great impact on your career, I'm very happy to say. If you join us, then you have a 97% chance of finding a job within 3 months of graduation. In fact, 53% of our most recent class surveyed. Sorry, I just got a strange thing. Yu-Ning, can you see my slide or did you see the poll? Do you see a slide with
slide now?
Sorry?
I see a slide.
You see a slide? Okay, great. Sorry, I just had a message saying stop sharing the poll. Right, so 53% of our students were employed even before graduation, which largely has to do with the fact that we require students to conduct internships during their studies. Those students, a lot of students who finish up their studies with an internship end up getting fully employed. That's why I'm having a hard time with the sentence. End up being fully employed at the end of the internship. In a lot of cases, internships are actually pre-employment test periods. And in any case, also about the students who just graduated from the class of 2020, 47% worked outside of their home country, which really does prove that our international approach to learning is working. The salary of the most recent graduating class is 52,000 euros, and I will be honest, that is a bit lower than normal salaries. Of course, the salaries as well as everything else concerning employment was greatly affected by COVID. The good news is, though, that they're still finding jobs. So maybe they're starting a little bit lower in salary, but they're still finding jobs. So that's always a good thing, because once you finish your master degree, I think you probably want to go and start using everything you've learned and start working. Where they are working is there are 3 industries, well, 2 that actually take the palmarès. I'm only thinking of a French word. I don't know why they're taking the prizes. And that is the consulting and financial industries. Technology is a close third, actually, to finance, sorry. And that is technology, of course, is Amazon, Google, etc. Those companies are really hiring more and more business students every year. Fast-moving consumer goods, luxury business, and agribusiness are also among the top industry sectors that our students are choosing. As far as the type of jobs they are taking, 30% of our students are going into consulting, and they are consultants. Gee, that's not rocket science. I think you could have figured that out. 17% are doing some kind of financial jobs, but that's anything from corporate finance to wealth management to trading. Those are all the different kind of jobs in finance that our students are taking. 11% in both marketing and business development. 4% are in the C-suite. If you're not familiar with that term, that's CEO, CFO, CMO, so Chief Executive Officer, Chief Financial Officer, etc. Those students are obviously the ones who are starting their own companies. And then finally, we have 4% of our students who are going into project management. The top employers of our students, as you can see, many well-known companies. I think you probably recognize everyone on this slide. If you are at least familiar with the big multinationals as well as some of the European companies. So the technology companies, as I mentioned, who are hiring our students, Google, Amazon, Apple, they're all big recruiters. The consulting companies as well as a couple of banks are in here. And there's one, however, that you may not have heard of, and that is Rocket Internet. It's the red logo in the middle of your screen. Interestingly enough, Rocket Internet is an ESCP startup. It was started in Berlin about 10 years ago now, I believe. And they have gotten to such a strategic size, they hire a lot of our students. So another participation opportunity for you. I have a new question, which is, oh, now I'm wondering if I set this up right. Oh, you guys answered all the questions last time. I set up the poll wrong. I apologize. That's okay. Thank you for playing. Let's see if I can share the results, and I can't see what you can see in this case. Hopefully you can see the results of the second poll, which was, where are you in your search for master studies? And I see 100% of you have answered. I appreciate that. So most of you have already chosen business or management as your field of study. And 10% of you so far have started or submitted an application to ESCP. In fact, that was a little bit of a trick question because we have not yet opened the applications for the next intake, which is in September 2022. But thank you for answering that. I just wanted to get a feel of the people who were listening to us today, so we could perhaps cater the answers, we could cater our comments to that. As I mentioned, you have an opportunity to choose between 2 or 3 years of in-class learning, as I say here. So 2 or 3 years of study. You may choose to start in the pre-master year, which is optional, or you may go directly into the master 1 year. And Yu-Ning, I'm going to bring you into this one because you decided to start with the pre-master year. Can you tell us why you did that?
Sure. Thank you, Jeanne. So basically, I decided on joining PreMaster Year because I did only my bachelor in German studies and also like plus a minor in advertising and public relations, but it's not really specifically business related. So I'd like to, before I really join Master in Management, I'd really like to have like more of a comprehensive overview of all the business studies so that I can be well prepared for no matter it is, because I'm also not coming from Europe. So for me as a Asia student, I would say it also prepares me for Europe as an environment and, you know, to get myself adapt to this environment and to business studies. And yeah, and I would say it was actually a really decisive decision that I made because otherwise I think I wouldn't have really made it to M1 year because you would see actually the workload and also the group project, etc. It's really in depth, let's say. Which I appreciate a lot. So I would say it was really a good decision that I made.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I actually asked you to share that with everyone as well because it's the exception to the rule. Most students, to be honest, join in the first master year, even regardless of whether they have previous studies in business or not.
It's solely a personal decision. You can, of course, also apply directly to the MIM program. So yeah, it really depends on your personal decision.
Yeah, okay. And just in case that the question pops up, it made me think of it. If you are accepted into the pre-master year, you're automatically accepted into the master year, into the MIM. So you don't have to apply again. That's the good news. So as far as what you're learning, Yu-Ning touched about it a little bit, is you have in the optional pre-master year, you're having core management courses. So all the basics of management that you would have taken if you were in a bachelor in management. Well, not all of them, obviously, because we're scrunching them all up into 1 year. But there are also thematic seminars, sustainability and management, which is obviously about showing the importance of sustainability in business decisions today, and almost every business decision today. And the M1 and M2, now that you know my lingo, you will also have a semester of core courses, which are, core course, if you're not familiar with that term, those are the fundamentals of management. So things like finance, marketing, accounting, statistics, strategy, operations management, and I'm forgetting some, but that's the general idea. So that you can then have, actually Malaurie used an interesting term when we were talking before the session. We have those core courses so that you can speak intelligently to people working in those different departments, which doesn't necessarily mean you know everything about finance when you come out of the core course in finance, but you're able to speak intelligently with people in that department. And then starting in semester 2 of your first year and continuing through semester 3 and 4, you can choose a specialization, of which there are many, as I said. You have to take a minimum of 2 specializations and up to 3 total. You also have additional thematic seminars as well as a master thesis that you need to complete in your second year. As far as where you study, you have lots and lots and lots of choices. And that is to say, we have 6 different campuses, so you already have those to choose from, but we also have partner institutions in countries all over the world. So if you'd like to do either an exchange semester or a double degree or a dual degree in a partner university, you're more than welcome to do so. We also offer courses in different languages. So if you study on the Madrid campus, for example, you can choose to take the Spanish track as opposed to the English track. The same thing in Paris. We have both French and English tracks in Paris. And in Berlin, we offer courses in German. A couple of specializations are offered, not one, sorry, I don't remember, 1 or 2 specializations are offered in German. If you're going to come to ESCP, hopefully it is because of the fact that we're offering this cross-cultural education, giving you the opportunity to live and study in so many places. And to make sure that you take advantage of that, we require that you study at a minimum of 2 different locations. If you so desire, you can choose to study in up to 5. If you start in the PreMaster year, you would choose either Paris or Turin in your PreMaster year. And then once you hit the master cycle, then you can actually change campus every semester. Malaurie, you're going to do 3 different campuses. Oh, it looks like both of you. Malaurie, maybe you can tell us why you decided to study in so many different places. I mean, you already had the background of living in so many different places. What caused you to continue that?
Well, I guess it's the main reason I entered ESCP. It's for the opportunities it actually offers to go from one place to another, discover so many cities, which even with my international background, I didn't know. So I had never been to Germany, for example, neither lived in the UK. And I thought it was just an amazing opportunity to do so. And you have so many different campuses, but also so many exchange programs that allow you to cross an ocean and go away, and it's awesome. So I also want to emphasize what you talked about concerning the local language classes. I personally took 1 semester in French. So okay, I am French, but I had never studied in French, and learning business language in a local language in the local language of the country you're going to work in potentially is always interesting and very useful. So I encourage you to do at least 1 semester in a local language if you can, because you progress so much and gives you so many openings for job perspectives afterwards.
Oh boy, but how difficult? Well, for you, maybe it wasn't so difficult to study in French, but taking the exams in French as well. Were you allowed to take exams in English?
Yes, so basically this is the great part of it. What ESCP really focuses on is communication. For you to be able to communicate with colleagues, with future employees in a language that they understand, whether it's understanding their technical terms, whether it's understanding their language. So your exams, you're allowed to write them in English, even if you take local language track. So that's great because you don't need to master, be proficient by writing, which is always more difficult than speaking. So yeah, it's another opportunity that's really great.
Great, good to know. Thank you very much. One of the highlights of the Master in Management program is the Designing Europe Learning Expedition, which takes place in Brussels every year. Malaurie, were you able to participate? Yu-Ning, no, because
yes.
of the year, unfortunately. Yeah, would you like to tell us about Brussels and what happened there?
Absolutely. So it's 2 days where all ESCP M1 students reunite in Brussels in the European Parliament. A lot of guest speakers, very interesting projects. Ours was a vote on sustainability. So you learn a lot about the future of Europe and the direction which it's heading. And it's very much to make you understand that as being a student in one of Europe's leading business schools, you have a say in the future of the European Union as a whole as well. And well, it's such a good opportunity. You meet everybody, you meet professionals, European Parliament members, you see the infrastructure. When you're able to sit in the, how do you say, in the big room, you know, I'm not sure how you call that in English. Exactly, hemicycle, exactly. It's awesome. And a lot of us, you know, we had very different roles. So some were speakers, some were reporters. So it was very segmented, a bit like a real life simulation. Very interesting.
And I think the year that you were there, a keynote speaker was Michel Barnier, right? He was the chief negotiator for Brexit, representing the European Union, and he's also an alum of ESCP. So it was actually really interesting. His keynote was really interesting because he was kind of giving us insights as to what the final negotiation was looking like. You know, as you may remember, the negotiation took 2 years. And so a very long drawn out thing, but we were close to the end of it when we had Designing Europe. And he gave us some interesting insights that, you know, you felt like you're hearing secrets or something coming away from it. But sorry, I have my streak of sunlight that's coming across. Okay, so I just realized that, oops, I messed up with the polls, but you already answered what if you would like to take a dual degree, and bear with me because I didn't look at the results. So I asked you the question, would you like to earn a dual degree? And we have 64% of the people who said yes, as long as the workload is manageable. Maybe or not. So fair enough. Okay, that was a loaded question as well, of course, because I really wanted to talk about dual degrees and the opportunity to do them. Actually, I didn't ask either of you. Yu-Ning, Malaurie, are you taking a dual degree?
I'm taking the one with the City University of London. So the one offered by ESCP, which has several requirements, including studying in 2 different languages, which is one also of the reasons why I did French track one of the semesters. But yeah, and it basically grants me the French diploma of ESCP, recognized worldwide, but also a Master in Science and Management from the City University of London. So that's great.
Great. Yeah, so one of the really interesting and unique things about ESCP is that we do offer a nationally recognized degree in each of our campus countries. So as Malaurie just said, you can get the degree from one of our ESCP countries actually just by studying on that campus. So there is no extra workload in this case. It's just the same thing. So it's basically, if Yu-Ning had been studying in London this semester and had not chosen to take the dual degree, it would be the same workload as Malaurie with the dual degree. The only difference in this case, and London is a special exception, is that there is a requirement to study in 2 different languages. But other than that, there's no difference. You just have to let us know basically at the beginning of the course that you do want to take a dual degree in one of our other countries or 2. A lot of students get 3 degrees altogether. So a common combination is UK and Germany. The third one being France, because everybody gets the French degree. So the other type of dual degree is with a partner university. And that is, we have, if you look at our website or our brochure, we have 44 different dual degrees with partner universities, both within our home countries and outside. So if you think that you may want to work one day in China, you can go and do a dual degree with one of our Chinese partner universities. The same in Brazil, the same in the United States. We have approximately 40 students every year who elect to take a dual degree with partner universities outside of the ESCP campuses. So many of the choices that you have with the ESCP Master in Management concern specializations and degrees. We just talked about degrees. We touched upon specializations as well. But we do have a total of 62 on offer now. So if you can't find something that you're interested in, then I don't know what to do because there's so many choices. Interesting that we offer the specializations in many cases are based on the expertise of that particular campus, which is often an expertise linked with the country. So for example, the sustainability specialization is offered in Berlin. You may or may not know that Berlin has long been a proponent of recycling and waste management and have just built upon that to become a leader in sustainability. In Turin, for example, we have a specialization on food and beverage management, food and beverage being an important part of the Italian culture, and they developed a specialization in that realm. Same for London, we have a specialization in banking and finance, banking of course being one of the main industries in London, and London being a main financial center in the world. Couldn't list all 62 specializations on the slide, of course, but if you'd like to take a look at the full list, check out our website. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page where the specializations are listed, you can see a link to the syllabi of the specializations if you'd like to know a little bit more about them. Already touched on the idea of the studying at a partner school. So you can take an exchange program just for one semester, and there we have 130 different partners around the world, or a dual degree program for 2 semesters with a partner school. Another very unique thing about ESCP is that we have dual degrees not only in business, but we also have dual degrees in different disciplines such as engineering, art management with Sotheby's in New York, fashion and luxury management with IFM in Paris, hospitality management with I'm blanking out for a second, Ferrandi in Paris, and international relations, that is with MGIMO, I don't believe there's a way to pronounce that, and that they are in Russia. Again, a full list of all of our partner schools and dual degrees is available on our website. Sorry, I realize that I'm being very verbose today, and I'm trying to pick it up a little bit so that we have lots of time for your questions. Professional experience, again, very important part of the ESCP Master in Management experience, because you're going to be ready to jump into the job market with 9 months minimum of a professional experience upon graduation. If you have previous job experience, you can get credit for up to 16 weeks of that. So then you only need 7 weeks afterwards. As we already mentioned, gap semesters, gap years are a great way to get that really important work experience under your belt, but it also gives you an opportunity to explore different disciplines. So if you don't know if you want to go into blockchain, or if you want to go into the automotive sector or finance or whatever, a way to do that is to test it out through an internship. We have a career service that is is present on all campuses, and they are of great support. They have 12,000 internship offers that come in every year to ESCP. They offer coaching, boot camps, careers fairs, and company presentations to get you familiar with how to find a job, the different industries that you would like perhaps to work in. So we have a boot camp on finance. Apparently they have a very specific vocabulary, a very specific recruiting process. For banks, for example, you have 3 days of case studies or mock situations, very specific recruiting process for banks that you would learn about in the finance boot camp. Careers fairs that happen on every campus, and more, and in some cases several, where companies from mostly from the local country, but also international brands are represented at the different careers fairs, and then company presentations. Actually, Yu-Ning, you were talking a little bit about the career fair, I think, that you attended on the Turin campus before. Could you share that with everyone?
Sure. So actually, I attended not only the Turin campus career fair. At that time, I also flew to Berlin to attend because I can speak German. So I attended both Berlin career fair and also Turin career fair. I would have to say it was really, really intense, but at the same time, it's also a really good opportunity for you to build up the network with the companies and also with the career fair staff, where they really cared about how you would like to pursue your career path. So for example, I had dedicated CV review sessions with the Turing career fair career service staff. It was really nice. And for the career fair itself, it has a lot of, for example, company presentations that you can take on. So you can really get to know the company and also to ask questions on site, or like right now, the COVID setting, you can also join virtually. And also it has, for example, on Berlin campus, they have roundtable sessions where you can apply to the roundtables, and then you will be listed among around 10 or 8 students, and you can have in-depth discussions with the companies, and you can also leave a good impression for the company, for the recruiting staff. So I would say all in all, like, there are a lot of different opportunities. It just depends on you if you would like to take on and if you would like to reach out. So it's really good opportunities.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So now we get to the hard data. That's a hard transition. Now let's talk about money. No, we were talking about money, sort of, right, with the internships. So it's not free to study a master at ESCP. In fact, it costs 19,000 euros per year for EU citizens and 22,700 per year for non-EU citizens. And that you'd multiply by the number of years that you're going to be here. Except, of course, for a gap year. You're not paying full tuition fees during a gap year. It's only for, or a gap semester for that matter. You're only paying a registration fee during that time. The good news is that we have scholarships. For non-EU citizens, we have merit scholarships that are awarded upon admission. And those can range anywhere from 25 to 100% of the first year's tuition fees. You don't have to do anything to apply. You don't apply. It's just we offer them automatically based on the best students of each admissions round. For EU citizens, we offer need-based scholarships. So people who have can demonstrate a financial need may apply. And those can range anywhere from 10 to 80% of the first year's tuition fees. Those you apply for after you've been admitted. Typically, the application process starts in June, the June previous to the September when you're going to start, and the awards are announced in early October. I always encourage students to get out there and search for scholarship money, because there's lots of scholarship money that's not spent every year. Here I'm listing a number of different sources of scholarships. Basically, these are sources that are located in our campus countries who are offering monies to students to come and study in our countries. But you also should look in your country, in your home country, to see if they're offering scholarships to study abroad, or just to study management, or just to study business or whatever. You'll be surprised what you might be able to come up with. Okay, and now we're going to have a million questions, and it's normal, but I'm going to go through this a little bit quickly because I'm sure you guys have already answered a bunch of questions on admissions. But we have several different admissions paths, and that they are based on when you want to start. So either in the pre-master year or in the master year, or and where your previous studies were carried out. So if you would like to apply to the PreMaster year, but your previous studies were outside of France, you would apply through what we call the PreMaster admission test, which is a little bit misleading in terms of terminology, but it's really just an admissions process. What you need to do is fill out the online application and submit an English test. We accept the IELTS, the TOEFL, the TOEIC, and the Cambridge. Your university transcripts, your diploma or certificate of enrollment, your high school or secondary diploma and a CV. We take a look at that and we say yes or no, you have been shortlisted. If you're shortlisted, then we will invite you to campus. In this case, it's only on the Turin campus that this happens, where two things will happen. You will take a test that's similar to a GMAT, which is we also call the ESCP test, or SHL. And we're also going to do a motivational interview. The applications for this admissions path, as for all of our the ESCP admissions, will open in early October. If you want to apply directly to the master program, and you have carried out your previous studies outside of France, you have two choices. One of which is to apply directly and exclusively to ESCP. The other is to apply to a consortium of 5 different business schools. The first case is called International Direct Admissions. That's where you're applying directly to ESCP. And in any case, the process is very similar. And so what you need to do, you need to submit a GMAT, a GRE, a CAT, or a TAJMAJ in both cases. In the case of the international direct admission, you may also submit, elect to take the ESCP test, or the SHL, which happens on campus. I'm sure the question has already been answered, but I'll say it now and we'll say it again. We do not have any minimum score for a GMAT or equivalent test. What we're looking at is the entire application. We don't want people who are just really good test takers. So we're looking for, a good GMAT score, but we're also looking for very good grades from your university. We're also looking for good universities. We're also looking for interesting profiles. We're really looking at your whole application, so we don't have minimum scores for either the GMAT or the English test. As far as the English test is concerned, you will need to submit it if you have not studied in an English-speaking country. So for example, I'm sure there are many among you today who are going to Bocconi in Italy, or Rotterdam in the Netherlands, which offer very good economics and business programs in English. But because those are not English-speaking countries, you still need to submit an English exam. So I'm sorry about that, but that's the way it works. So the same thing with the previous admissions path. If you are shortlisted, we will invite you to a motivational interview. And I need to update the slide as well. I apologize because it's been a long time since we've done Skype. But you can either take that interview in person or online for the international direct admissions. And for the Join a School in France path, it would be an interview in person at one of their many locations around the world. The applications for the international direct admissions will open in October. However, the Join a School in France admissions path is already open. So if you really would like to apply early, you may do so through Join a School in France. You will be applying to us, but also for other business schools who have campuses in France, which is why it's called Join a School in France, even though you don't have to go to France if you come to ESCP. So the last one is for students who have previous studies in France. And those, basically that by previous studies, of course, I mean a bachelor degree. So the previous studies in France, admissions path is called the Concours d'admission directe. The interviews take place on the Paris campus. And we have very similar requirements. We need a TAJMAJ, a GMAT, or a GRE. We need an English language exam, university transcripts, a diploma or certificate of enrollment, a personal statement, and a CV. If you're shortlisted, we will ask you to do a couple of things: an English test, a live English test, even though we're asking you to submit a written one, a test in a second language, and a motivational interview. Applications for this path will open in early December. Okay, so hopefully there are a few things that you've picked up during the course of this presentation. This is a bit longer, I apologize, than I intended. And those are some very specific benefits of the ESCP Master in Management. So we hope, I hope that you have learned that you will be able to think critically about business management and ethical issues with a socially responsible approach when you study the ESCP. We're going to help you build and enhance your career plans through specialized course options and in-company work experience. And very importantly, strengthen your ability to live and work in a highly multicultural and international environment. Sorry. The last point being especially of interest of companies, because they want to hire students, they want to hire people who are adaptable. And if when you show them that you've studied in several countries, you've lived in several countries, you speak several languages, then there's no better proof than that. So thank you so much for listening. I will now turn to the Q&A to catch up with all the hard work that Malaurie and Yu-Ning have been doing. I see we still have 120 outstanding questions. I'm not really sure, to be honest, how we're going to manage this. I think perhaps I'm just going to have to answer some of these afterwards. So I apologize in advance. I'm not sure how we're going to manage, as I said, otherwise. Let's say, where are we? Let me see if I can catch up here. Okay, the open questions. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, Malaurie, Yu-Ning. The first one that I see is, can international students apply through Talent Spring? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I guess neither of you know much about Talent Spring, or do you?
I don't, that's why.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, got it. So these are some of the questions you skipped. Talent Spring is a very specific and very small admissions path. It's made for students who have had what we call an atypical educational experience up until now. So in a lot of cases, it has to do with students who had some serious illness and had to, stay out of school for 4 years or something. Can international students apply through Talent Spring is a very good question. I'm not sure of the answer. In any case, it's not a case of nationality as much as it is a case of language. You have to speak French in order to apply through Talent Spring. What I would suggest is, if you don't mind, go to our website. And let's see if I can stop sharing my screen. I can show you if I can do this quickly, which obviously I'm not doing very well. Stop share, there we go. If you go to our website. Okay, this is our website now. escp.eu/mem. You go to the admissions tab. These are all the different admissions paths and information that I just went through quickly. We have much more detailed information here. So for example, I'll go to previous studies outside France, international direct admissions. Here you see this is much more detailed information that you can download. It's a PDF that you download that gives you a lot more specifics.
I'm sorry, are you sharing your screen or?
Thank you. I thought I was, but I guess I'm not. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Oh boy. I lost the screen. Let's see. Huh, interesting. I can see Yu-Ning, and that's all I can see. I'm glad I can see you. I can't get back to the button. Okay, wait, I'm getting closer, I think. There we go. Oof. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, now can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So website, admissions tab, different admissions paths. Here, for example, I was showing you international direct admissions. Here is more detailed information. So you click there and you get a PDF. So if you wouldn't mind, the Talent Spring person, if you wouldn't mind going through and clicking through here, we have very specific information on Talent Spring, okay? If you wouldn't mind doing that, then I won't have to hold everybody up by answering that one. Thank you. Okay, Q&A next. How does the apprenticeship work? Love that question. So the apprenticeships, Shiva asked, how does the apprenticeship work? Malaurie didn't dare touch this one. So to be an apprentice, basically the apprenticeship track is available on the Paris campus because it's funded by the French government. You have to apply to it after you've been admitted to the program. You can take the apprenticeship track either as a 2-year track or as a 1-year track. I'm giving you the broad outline, okay? There's, again, more information on our website and in the brochure. If you take an apprenticeship, then what that means is you're working in a company and studying at the same time. So it's super intensive, great experience, super intensive because you're doing the same amount of work in a much more condensed period of time while you're working in a company. Advantages are, obviously, you're able to apply what you learn right away. You're getting a salary from the company who you're working for, and they're paying for your tuition fees. The one potential hiccup is if you're not an EU national, you are not eligible. So because it's funded by the French government and EU funding, you have to be an EU national in order to apply. So in a nutshell, hopefully that covers the basic information. Someone is asking the difference between AMBA and EMBA accreditations. AMBA is the Association of MBAs and EMBA is the Executive MBA. So they're two very different things. AMBA is an association. EMBA, I think maybe you're referring to my presentation. That was, we have an accreditation from EQUIS for our Executive MBA, our EMBA. Rotuha, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and I apologize for just massacring your name. Is it better to apply directly to the school or via join a school in France? Are there any pros and cons if we apply via join a school in France? It's up to you as to which admissions path you prefer. The advantage when you apply directly to us is you're getting more personalized attention throughout the entire admissions process because we're managing it. Whereas joining a school in France is managed by an outside organization. An advantage right now is the Join a School in France application is open and ours is not. So if you'd like to get it in early, you may as well just go ahead and apply through there. At the Join a School in France, you're also applying to HEC, EM Lyon, EM Lyons, Audencia, and Schema, which are the 4 other business schools. So it's one application for all 5 of us, so that a lot of students decide that that's an advantage. But as for us, it doesn't matter which one. We don't give you preference over one or the other. And it's pretty much the same process. Muncie is asking, do you consider the GRE score? Absolutely, we do admit, we do take GREs. Thomas, what grade do we need on the GMAT to access the Master in Management? We don't have any minimum scores, Thomas. What I can share with you, since you joined us today, I'm looking for my post-it note, oh no, because I don't want to get it wrong. What are the average GRE? Hold on. The average GMAT score is currently, there it is, currently 690 of people who have been admitted. The average GRE is 320. The Taj-Maj is 400. And the IELTS is 6.5. I don't have the TOEFL, sorry. But those are average scores. If you've seen the Master in Management student blog, we have an ambassador who wrote an article about how she was unable to spend as much time preparing for the GMAT as she hoped. She got a 630, if I remember correctly, and she still was admitted. So, you know, again, we don't have any specific minimum. Speaking of the blog, Malaurie wrote a very good article that has been very popular for it, about how to succeed in your interview. She gives very specific tips on how to succeed in your interview. You can see that at ESCP, no, what is it? ESCPMIM.blog. ESCPMIM.blog is the website address. An anonymous person, I'm going to keep going, ladies, until you tell me to stop, because that's where you are. An anonymous person has asked, if we have a low GPA, what can we do to improve our profile to get admission? If you have a low GPA, then everything else has to be really good, because GPA is super important. So you have to have a really good management test. You have to have international experience and or languages. We like languages, we like international experience. Professional experience is also of great interest. So if you have a low GPA, you might want to think about, and you really want to come to ESCP, you might want to think about taking a semester or a year to get some work experience to enhance your profile. Ruthika is asking, should we apply for round 1 only, or can we apply for round 2 or subsequent rounds? Okay, it's an excellent question, because firstly, you can only apply once per year and through only one admissions path. So you cannot apply through both international direct admissions and join a school in France. Number 2 is you can apply for whichever round you'd like. The early rounds are better because there are fewer applications, which means that you are up against a little bit less competition, and you are pretty much guaranteed to get the campus of your choice. If you wait until round 4, then some campuses fill up. So what happens is basically we assign campuses as the rounds in the rolling admissions process or in the admissions process. So by the time we get to round 4, most of the students have already chosen, you know, at least 3/4 of the students have already chosen the campus that they want to attend. So some campuses aren't available anymore.
Jeanne, I've seen this question a few times, and I'm not sure how to answer. Could you elaborate on people that have a bachelor's from ESCP? Can they apply to the MIM? Can they not? How does this work?
Very good, yes. If you have done a bachelor program at ESCP, I congratulate you, because it's a really good program. The only problem is that you may not go apply to the Master in Management once you have done the bachelor's. We like to encourage our bachelor students to take other paths, to either study at a university outside of, you know, from outside of Europe, and in any case, in another country. Yeah, mostly outside of Europe if possible, but certainly outside of ESCP to really broaden your experience. And if you do decide to apply to ESCP, then you're more than welcome to apply for our Specialist Master programs, which are now calling, yeah, I guess we're still calling them Specialist Masters. We have 24 Specialist Masters programs that you can apply to, but you just, you're not eligible for the Master in Management. Someone is asking, can you do the compulsory 9 months of internships after the 2 years of masters? I'm thinking that's a technical question.
If I know the answer to this one, if you want.
Thank you.
So technically you have 4 years to validate your whole master's. So the 4 semesters or the 6 semesters, depending on if you do the PreMaster year or not. You can choose to do all your internship experience after your 2 years of studies. However, I do think that gap semesters or gap years are something you should take advantage of. So what you could do is, for example, take only a gap semester in the middle of your Master 1s and Master 2, and then do your last months of internship when you, in January, for example. So if you take a gap semester, you would finish in December and do end of studies internship, as they like to call it in France, in another company where potentially you can hope for a full-time offer after that internship. So that's the way to do it. And it's a good one as well.
Thank you. This is another reason why I like to have students join us, because you guys have the firsthand knowledge and the ins and outs and good recommendations. So then where are we? Okay. I have a person whose name I don't know how to pronounce. I'm not going to say it. Are there any fully funded scholarship opportunities? There are, well, you can receive up to 100% of your first year's tuition fees if you're a non-European student, which by your name, it looks like you are, but that's only your first year's tuition fees. So no, then I guess the answer to that question is no, it's not fully funded because you still have to fund your second year. An anonymous person is asking what exactly is expected to be in an academic letter of recommendation. But Malaurie or Yu-Ning, do you know, or should I give it a shot?
So the academic letter of recommendation from your former teachers, or yeah. I mean, to be honest, you can't really much control what others write about you. Hopefully only positive stuff, showing your strengths and your past experiences, your commitment and your rigor and your academic excellence, for sure. That's something that we cannot state enough. Academic excellence is what makes this school thrive. And yeah. Not sure what else, Jeanne, do you think?
No, that sounds perfect. Actually, I could have answered that question, come to think of it, but I'm glad that you did, because I've been talking way too much. Okay, anonymous, this is very specific, holy cow. How do the salaries of ESCP graduates compare with those of graduates from ESSEC, HEC, and INSEAD for positions in consulting in Paris, France? My goodness, do you think that we have data that's that good and we were able to compare it with our other schools? I would say they're comparable. What else can I tell you except that a lot of graduates of these business schools like to join consulting companies in Paris, and they all get really good salaries. As far as the difference is, I honestly could not tell you. There would be a difference between a bachelor versus a master, that's for sure, or even an MBA. But as far as between those different schools, maybe there's a difference, but it would be minimal. They have to be similar. And in some cases, I would say if it's a consulting firm that was, primarily ESCP alumni, then maybe the ESCP is going to get a better salary. That's just kind of how it works. Although that might be a bit tricky. Maybe wouldn't you get a better salary, but would it have a better chance of being hired? Yeah, maybe that's more fair. So sorry, I can't really give any more specific information than that. For the international direct admission, when is the ESCP test on campus? After submitting the online application? Yes, indeed, that's how it works. It's a bit confusing, I know. But what you do is you submit your application without the test. You in the section of the application where we ask you to upload your test, you select that you will be taking the ESCP test, and then you will take it on campus if you are selected to come in for, if you're shortlisted. Okay, I hope that helps. Again, I apologize, I'm going through these rather quickly, but it's because we have so many. We're all available for you to reach out to afterwards, please. Please be, you're more than welcome. Okay, Chaitanya is asking, I have 3 years of work experience. Am I eligible to apply to the MIM program? Absolutely. We don't have any minimum nor a maximum number of work experience years. The only thing that I would suggest is that you also take a look at MBA. Is because MBA programs generally start with 3 years of work experience and then go up from there. So you would be eligible for an MBA program. You probably would be on the lower end of the number of years of experience for most MBA programs, but it might be worth looking into because the advantage there is that you're studying with people who have a lot of experience, whereas as I mentioned, the Master Management students typically have 1 to 1.5 years. So it's something to look into, but absolutely you're eligible. Somebody's asking, will we get more comprehensive employment data? A breakdown the salary as per the job function and the location. That data currently is not available. I'm working on it, is the answer to that question. So stay tuned, but it currently is not available. Would a personal project like starting a blog be considered during the application process? Absolutely. That's a personal project that's showing initiative. Anything that you think that, yeah, shows initiative, shows your creativity, shows that you want to help people, shows that you are interested in what's going on in the world around you. All of those things are of interest to us. Absolutely, don't hesitate to put that in your application.
Maybe one question that also is repeating on what if you don't have your GMAT scores before the application? Can you submit an application and put your scores afterwards? Do you need them directly when you apply?
You need, yes, you need them directly when you apply. You don't have to have the official score. You can have the score that you get like immediately after you take it. So, you know, you get the official score a week or 2 weeks later or something. But you do have to submit the score with your application, certainly at this point. Sometimes in the last round, there's a little bit of play in that, but certainly not in the early rounds. A question, are there any GMAT specific scholarships for international students? No, not at ESCP. I'm not familiar with that in any case, even at other schools. Sharaf is asking, is the MIM program available in a study apprenticeship setting? I have answered that question. So yes, but Sharaf, it sounds like you probably are not from the EU. And so unfortunately, you would not be eligible for the apprenticeship. Runan is asking, will online GMAT scores be accepted at 2022 fall? And the answer is yes. I answered that question already. Can I still apply if I work experience of 3 to 4 years? And that is answered. Can you give an insight on the job prospects for an Indian MIM student after completion of course? Well, yeah, I mean, students from India who I know, who I'm familiar with, some stay in Europe and continue working in Europe. for a couple of years, and some go back to India. It depends on what kind of industry you're looking for. I know, for example, a couple of the Indian students that I know are working at Amazon in Luxembourg, where English is the official language and you don't need to speak any other language. There's another student who just graduated. I believe he's working at a bank in Frankfurt. So it really depends, but there are opportunities both in Europe and at home. Let's see. Rania is asking, and I think I caught up with you guys, didn't I? Hello, I earned my bachelor degree in July, but I had issues with university issuing my transcripts in time. I had to take a gap year, thus I was wondering if that would affect my application for the class of 2021-2023. Gap year is fine. You just have to tell us what you're doing with it or what you did with it. So, you know, if you just sat around and said, oh, woe is me, I didn't get my transcripts in time, that's not going to be a good answer. You just need to tell us what you did with that gap year, and why it was an interesting experience. Is there any kind of language barrier in your campuses with different native languages other than English? Will it affect a student's day-to-day life and later during job years? I think Yu-Ning, you might be a good person to answer this, having lived in Italy and not speaking Italian. How did it affect you to not speak Italian?
That is a good question. I would say it actually doesn't really impact your academic life much, because everybody speaks English. Basically, English is within ESCP the official language, so you don't need to really worry about, you know, if you don't speak, for example, Italian on the Turin campus, or you don't speak French on Paris campus. But I would say if you can, you know, make some efforts to understand the language, the local language, it will definitely be beneficial for you, your day-to-day life, but it's definitely not mandatory. And regarding job market, I would say if you are looking for a job in, for example, Italy or Paris in France, or, you know, local languages would definitely be appreciated. So for example, my profile, I speak German, I do speak German. So for me, it's definitely easier to find a job in German job market, and probably also London, because we all speak English. So I would say it doesn't really affect much, but when you are looking for a job, of course, it would be appreciated, but it's definitely not mandatory.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Couldn't say it better. Rafael is asking, do we have to pay the same tuition fees if we decide to do a gap year? No, as I mentioned, you don't pay the tuition fee, you just pay a registration fee. It's a legal requirement. You have to remain registered. I'm not exactly sure what those are right now. You might know, 950 euros or something is around there.
I think it's 950, yeah, 950 euros.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip that because that was done. Aziza, sorry, is asking about the apprenticeship, which I already answered. I answered this already, but I'll say it again because it always is a point of confusion. If we are studying in a school in England, is the question, do we still need to provide an English test? And the answer is no. Carla is asking, regarding time management and workload, do you believe it is manageable to work and study at the same time? Meaning working for a company as a part-time. How do the courses schedule work at ESCP? Malaurie, go for it.
I'll take this one because I actually have a particular case. I kept working part-time for the company in which I interned during one of my semesters at ESCP. So first of all, the important part is your classes, because it's what matters. You need to complete your diploma. I would say the workload is good and it's okay, it's manageable, but you need to be careful not to overload yourself with online stuff. So basically, for me, it was possible because of COVID, everything shifted online. So I didn't have requirements to be in certain locations, which gave me that flexibility. However, I strongly suggest to think about that choice very, very wisely, just for two reasons. One, because you're a student, and student life is definitely something that you should enjoy if you can, and if there are no financial limitations to that. And second, I mean, it is a lot of commitments at once. And if you want to be part of your classes and have good grades, your company that pays you, plus student life, plus association, sports, whatever else it is that you do, it's going to fill up your week very, very fast. But it's possible. I did it. I'm still here. So it really depends on your situation and what you can negotiate with the company. Also know that ESCP will not help you or not provide any conventions or contracts with the school to cover you during your class semesters. So the company must be willing to hire you as a non-intern. That's important because ESCP doesn't provide you any internship contracts during your class semesters. So,
okay.
And you cannot use that as work experience for your validation of the weeks, because it's part-time. Only full-time work experience can be used, so it will not count.
Yeah, Yu-Ning, go ahead.
For that, there is actually maybe also because of the COVID situation. So basically,
maybe.
I also, yeah, exactly, because I also worked as a part-time intern at Porsche during my M1, which actually is not really conflicting with I don't really recommend you to do that because basically I worked 24/7 because, you know, imagine you work during the day and then at night I studied with ESCP, and then you sleep and then you work. So I mean, with that I negotiated with ESCP, and they did validate this internship. But this is really COVID related, you know, COVID specific. So, you know, there are still flexibility in between. You can always talk to the ESCP staff. They are always willing to solve this kind of, you know, problems of yours. So, yeah, it's possible, but not recommended.
Yu-Ning, now I know why you were always reachable. I would contact you at 3 o'clock in the morning, your time.
Yes.
I was like, okay, I'll send her a message. She'll answer tomorrow. And then ping, you answer right away. Yikes.
Yes. That's why.
Okay, thanks so much to both of you. Okay, I think I answered this since the question was posted, but I'll answer it again. How to apply for the PreMaster Year? Is it included in the MIM application itself? It's a separate application. I went through the process, but the good news is that if you're accepted to the PreMaster Year, then you're automatically accepted to the MIM. Rishwanth is asking, when will we have time to get 9 months intern experience? Do we have to take gaps between semesters? Do either of you know of anyone who's managing to graduate without taking a gap semester or a gap year?
If they can validate 16 weeks of prior experience and that they do their last internship after their 2 years of M1 and M2, then you can do that. It's possible. So yeah.
So that means, but that would mean delaying graduation for 6 months or something, wouldn't it?
Technically, yes, because you're officially only graduate from ESCP once you have all your work experience and submitted your thesis.
Yeah.
So yes, technically you would only graduate in the next year.
Yeah. I guess it is also possible if, because the thing with it's the problem of internship and the duration of the internship. Depending on the country, in France, they're typically 6 months. In the UK, there are internships that are short as 2 months. So if you can find short internships that you could fit into the summers, then theoretically, yeah, you could fit it all in within the 2 years and graduate, be fully graduated by September, after your thesis is defended. Which is probably not how you say it in English. Someone is asking, can I proceed to apply without a GMAT score? You have to supply some kind of management test, whether it be the GMAT or the ESCP test. But for the ESCP test, you have to come to campus. Okay, I'm not going to answer that because I did that already. Okay, here's a different question. Is there a Facebook group for students that intend to apply for the MIM in 2022 to be advised by students at ESCP, for instance? There are two possibilities for that. There's actually a Facebook group that's just the ESCP Master in Management Official, which is where you can post any kind of questions. Currently, there aren't too many people posting questions. I'm mostly posting information in there, but let's go ahead, pop your questions in there. And the other opportunity is to reach out directly to an ambassador. You will find them on our website. You'll find a list of all of our ambassadors on the website. I think, Malaurie, you're not on there anymore because you've been around for a while. I didn't keep you there forever. Yu-Ning is still there, but I may be taking you off soon because I'll be putting out all the new ones. But in any case, you'll have a list of ambassadors on the website to whom you can reach out. You can also reach out to both Malaurie and Yu-Ning on LinkedIn, I would imagine would be the best way. They'd be more than happy to answer your question. But yeah, so those are two opportunities for you to ask advice from students. What's the admissions process for applying in the PreMaster year? Sorry, I should have marked that as done. Let me mark that as done as well. Okay, someone is saying, I can't find the list of all the specializations and the campuses on which they are offered. If possible, could you share a web page link or document regarding the same? I suppose I could put that into the chat, right? So that would be escp.eu/mim. This is the web page that I referred to earlier, where if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can see actually the list, the syllabi of the specializations. Let us know if you cannot see that chat. Hopefully you can. Let's see. If you study, Camille is asking, if you study at the Paris campus, for example, and then do an exchange semester year at a partner university, does this count as the 2 location minimum? Or does it have to be 2 ESCP location? Camille, that is an excellent question. And Malaurie is saying, yes, 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 go ahead. Or either of you. Answer.
It does, correct?
No.
It doesn't? No, I thought it did. Ah, well.
No, it has to be, yeah, it has to be 2 ESCP campuses. Sorry, I guess my wording is not clear. Yeah, we want you to study at 2 different ESCP campuses before you go off to one of our partners. But that's okay, you've done very well on the other answers. Is blah, blah, blah. Everybody keeps asking the English language question. Thomas is asking, never mind, because Malaurie answered. Okay, I see Malaurie answering. Never mind. Hey, that's kind of cool. Malaurie is also answering that one. Will there be webinars for the Masters in Finance? Yes, of course there will be. I don't know when. Typically a little bit later in the year are the webinars for the Specialist Masters. Go to the website and we will have information on it then. But typically it's a little bit later in the year, like November. Rutuya, sorry again if I pronounced that wrong. Yu-Ning is answering. My goodness, you guys are fast. Saad is asking, are dual degrees available at ESCP campuses or are they diplomas? They're dual degrees. So you're actually receiving a degree, as Malaurie said, she'll be receiving the MSc in Management from University of London in the UK. The one in Berlin is actually delivered by ESCP, but it's the ESCP MSc in Management, which is recognized by the Senat in Berlin. Senat. So yes, they're degrees. Someone is asking what level of IELTS is required. I gave the average minimum, not minimum, the average grade is 6.5. We don't have minimum. Okay, you mentioned that academic excellence is a very important criteria for applicants. Does this mean ESCP closes its doors for people with a lower undergrad GPA? If no, how can a lower GPA be offset so as to be considered a competitive applicant? What I would recommend is speaking directly with an admissions advisor, because a lower GPA, it's often we get the question, what is the minimum GPA? The GPA GPA is very subjective because it depends on the university. It depends on your course of study. And also GPA it's measured on different scales. In the United States, it's out of 4. In the UK, it's honors, or I'm not really sure of the UK system. So it's all quite different. What I would recommend is that if you speak to one of our admissions advisors and send your CV and talk about your specific case, because I don't think that I can offer any very solid advice at this time. You can find the list of admissions advisors on our website.
Jeanne, do you happen to know if for the apprenticeship, what happens with UK nationals? Are they eligible or are they not?
They left during Brexit.
Yeah.
They are not eligible. Isn't that
not anymore? Good.
Because
there's a few questions about that.
So annoying. An anonymous person is asking, is this program recommended for someone who already has professional experience in business? Is there any limit regarding to years of professional experience? So no, you do not have to have any professional experience before joining the program. It is an advantage in your application, I won't lie. You do not have to have any previous experience. And no, there is no limit to the previous experience before joining. Shibin is asking, or Shibin, sorry, on what basis will the student be selected for an exchange program or a dual degree? For example, if the competition is high for a program. Okay, so if it's an exchange program, and yes, in some cases, there are a lot more people who want to go than there are places available, in which case it will be a question of who has the best grades up until now. I'm answering that one, Yu-Ning. For a dual degree, if it's a dual degree on one of the ESCP campuses, there is no question of not being selected. If it's for a dual degree with a partner university, then it's rare because usually we have enough places for this to meet demand. But again, if there is an issue, then, well, actually for a dual degree with partner university, the process is different. It's a twofold process. First, you're applying to us as a home school to ask if we want to present you as a candidate to the partner school. So if internally we have an issue between, because we have too many requests, then again, it will be a question of grades. And then once you go to the partner school, then for them, it's a question of, because we're not going to submit more applications than they have places for us. For them, it's just a question of whether they want to admit you or not. Elena is asking, where can I find more information about the dual degree in art management? Elena, if you go to our website and look for dual degrees or international partnerships, not on the MIM page, but in the website in general, then you will find information on art management, or maybe even better, Google on our website Sotheby's, which is the big auction house based in New York. Sotheby's is SOTHEBY''S. Okay, someone is asking, if we study in London in the second year, then the placements would be based out of London or France? Yeah. Go ahead, Malaurie.
I'm not quite sure I get the question, but basically your placements are based on your percentile, which includes all your studies at ESCP. So basically each additional semester of study, you get a new average, and that average is converted in percentile. And that is what determines if there are a limited amount of spots where you will end up, if you will have your first or second choice on campuses or on exchanges. So I'm not sure I answered that question, but that's how I understood it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Hopefully, if we didn't get that right, then you'll ask us again and we'll have an opportunity to answer. Wow, you guys have already answered 192 questions. You're amazing. Okay, for the international direct admission, when is the ESCP? Oh, sorry, I already answered that. I said this already, but concerning the apprenticeship track, does the enrollment start after being accepted to ESCP or before? After. You apply once you've been admitted to ESCP. At the beginning of the year, you'll have presentations on the opportunities in the apprenticeship track, and the application process will be open at that point. Are letters of recommendation a must to get into ESCP? They are not. We do not require a letter of recommendation for the international direct admissions, for example, but we do require them for the Join a School in France. So no. Shoot, what did I just do? Sorry, I just lost my place. Because I'm seeing a question that I saw earlier. Can international students apply through Talent Spring? Maybe you didn't hear me, but what you need to do is go to our website in the admissions tab. We have detailed information on each of our admissions paths. And if you go there and you download the information, you will find that answer to that question. I'm not sure of the answer, otherwise I would give it to you directly. Sai is asking, are there any application fee waived? And I'm sorry to tell you that there are not. It costs us a lot to process applications, and we do not waive them. And then the next question follows, is there an application fee? Yes, indeed there is, which is 190 euros, 190. Anna is asking if there are available scholarships for the second master year. Anna, if you are a student based with a nationality from the European Union, yes, it is possible. If you are not, if you're extra European Union, then you are not eligible. Carla, if you get a government scholarship, are you still eligible to get a scholarship with ESCP? Carla, if it's a merit-based scholarship, yes, because we're not requiring you to provide us with any financial information. If it's a financial need-based scholarship, it depends on how much the government scholarship is and whether that puts you over the minimum or the maximum revenues to be eligible for a need-based scholarship. I hope that makes sense. Where can one find the prerequisite subjects to be studied by non-business background folks? Let's see. Should be on the website, but let me just check. Let's see, I'll have to share my screen. I'm still screen sharing, so here we are. Let's see, I need to find that for a second. There they are. The prerequisite courses are here on the website, curriculum tab. Nidhi is asking, is there a TOEFL waiver if the medium of instruction of the graduate university has been in English? Only if it has been in an English-speaking country. Nidhi, it sounds like you might be from India. We consider India to be an English-speaking country. Sorry, I'm just seeing the same question over and over again. It was obviously we're to the section where I was talking about admissions, because now all I have is questions about English language exams. And I've already answered that a couple times. So let me just scroll through. Maya is asking, how can I apply to PreMaster from my home country as the test is on campus? Yu-Ning, you did that, right? When you applied to the PreMaster?
But I flew to Turin to take the test.
You did.
So yeah, because at that time I wasn't in Taiwan, I was actually in Germany, so it was actually quite near.
Yeah.
Compared to Taiwan, but yeah.
So I don't know what the current situation is. I know that during COVID, everything went online. So we were doing the ESCP test or the SHL test online as well. And I'm sorry, but I don't know. I assume that that is still the case. But what I would please ask you to do is to contact the Turin campus, and I will pop the email address into the chat. It's pretty easy. It's mimturin@escp.eu. Okay, just to make sure that that is correct. Answered that one already. Answered that one already. Okay, I have someone asking, I already did my MSc degree in life science, but almost no business background. Am I still eligible to apply for the MIM Grande École? Of course you are eligible. That's why, yeah, we like people with different backgrounds. We like people with sciences and languages and business and engineering and lots of different educational backgrounds, because that makes for much richer learning experience. So, and we offer prerequisite courses that take place before the semester starts for you to sort of catch up with your classmates who do have previous business studies. So please feel free to apply for the Master in Management. Someone is asking, we need to pay 5,000 euros as an admission fee if admitted. Okay, that's not an admission fee, that's an acceptance fee. What do we call it?
It's to secure your spot, correct?
Yeah. What do you call it, Yu-Ning?
Is it deposit?
A deposit, yeah. Yeah, we call it a deposit. Yes, the amount is adjusted in the semester fee. It's deducted from your first year's tuition. Thankfully. It's not an addition, no. Aditi is asking, what is the CAT exam listed there? Could you tell the full form? Aditi, I would if I could. What I can tell you is the CAT exam is the one that students in India who have studied engineering typically take. So I'm not exactly sure what the full name of that is, but that's the exam. Shiva, I already answered that, sorry. I'm going to answer that again. Someone is asking, what is the second round deadline? Interesting. You skipped right to the second round. Well, while I'm on the website, I can just show you. You can find the admissions deadlines. It's based on the application process. But let's go to my favorite, which is international direct admissions. The way that you find out your admissions deadlines is you scroll down and you see the admission calendar, and you scroll down and you don't see the calendar and you say, hold on, where is it? It's because the calendar depends on your country of residence. So let's say that I live in Austria. I select Austria. Oh, that was a bad example. Let's go to another one. Afghanistan. That's where you see the admissions calendar. So the first round of application deadline, the first round deadline is October 26th. The second one, January 25th. The third, March 22nd. The third, 10 May. If you are shortlisted, these are when the interviews will take place, and this is when the admissions results are published. We have different but similar dates for the Join a School in France. I'm clicking on that button. If you go down, we do have the full schedule here because it doesn't depend on your country of residence. And the dates are similar. So 7 October, oh, that was really early. 7 October, 6 January, 3 March, 2 May. Okay. When do the applications close? Again, it depends on the admissions path. As you just saw, the Join a School in France closes in May, and the international direct admissions, let me just choose a country. Afghanistan will work because that's generally is also May. It's early May for both. The one difference will be the admissions path for students who did their bachelor degree in France. And that is, it's always a very short admissions applications window, which it typically closes in early March. So keep your eye out if that is your case, that you've studied, if your bachelor degree is from France. Okay, I have a question I can't answer. I don't know if either of you guys can. If I'm applying for a Campus France scholarship, do I need to send my application to them separately, or should I apply to ESCP first?
I have no idea. I think you should see with them, sadly.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
Me neither. Yu-Ning, did you?
Neither do I. I think if you look at because I think I also researched something regarding this before. If you go on Campus France website and then look it up, maybe there are some information on that.
Yeah, I'm not even familiar, to tell you the truth, with the Campus France scholarships, except in some rare cases. I would think it would depend upon admission to a master's program, but I don't know. Sorry about that. We tried. Okay, someone is asking if the MIM falls under STEM courses. STEM is no. STEM are science courses. It's science, technology, and something. I forget what else. Oh, it could be management, could it? No, STEM is definitely science. The MIM does not fall under STEM. What is the visa extension procedure like in the UK? Malaurie, did you have to ask for a visa?
No, but because I'm an EU national, I don't need a visa if I study in the UK less than 6 months, which is my case. I only did a semester. However, so for EU nationals, you will need a visa if you plan on staying a full year in the UK. So this visa would be a student visa and allows you to take a part-time job. So it gives you the opportunity to work part-time during your master's. And if you are a non-EU national, I'm not quite sure how that works. You will need a visa anyways. Some countries have a requirement for you to stay a whole year. You need to check that a bit. Yu-Ning, do you know more about that?
It depends on where you're from, basically. So it really highly depends on that. But as what Malaurie said, basically you would definitely need a visa to in order to stay in order to study in the UK. But what kind of extension, this is really specific, what kind of extension procedure would like, you would definitely need to go on to the website of your home country. And then you will see.
I just realized we did a webinar on the subject. Of course, webinars, we have done a lot of. If you go on our website on the Meet Us tab, you see all of the events that are currently, that you can register for, that are online, but also events, sorry, the last time I looked, they were there, on demand. What happened? There used to be a whole list of events here that included webinar recordings. Oops. I just refreshed my screen and I lost them all. Oh, that's interesting. They must be working on my page. Yeah, sorry, come back later. In the on-demand category, there's a whole series of sessions, one of which is visas in the UK. I don't know what's, I guess they're updating the page. I just gave them updates to do. Okay. Sorry, I'm skipping through a bunch of questions because we've answered them already. I'll share this again. Someone is asking me to share the median GMAT and GRE. What I can tell you is the average of those, the average GMAT of students who have been accepted is 690, 690, and GRE is 320, 320. If someone is asking for the average GPA for an Italian candidate, I'm sorry, I can't answer that, but I bet our Turin campus can. And you can reach them at mimturin@escp.eu, mimturin@escp.eu. Do most of the students in the program just graduate from their bachelor's degree or often already have some working experience? I mentioned that, but maybe you guys want to talk about your experience from the students that you met when you first started. Did most people have some work experience or no?
It was very mixed, to be honest. A lot just graduated their bachelor's, and you know, in all these very different fields. Like, so I came from business, but my friends came from psychology, engineering, some like German, like Yu-Ning, so language studies. For a few years, but they had it very clear that they wanted to do a master's degree, so that's why they were there. Yu-Ning, what about your experience?
From my experience, it's also quite similar. Apparently, because I went to pre-master, so basically a lot of people, they were from bachelor year, I think second year, and then they went to pre-master. But then upon entering MIM, basically of course not everybody has had already like work experience, but I would say it's always a good help for you and for your career wise if you had already some working experience beforehand, but it's not mandatory.
Thank you. Okay, I'm skipping through a lot of questions about IELTS and Cambridge and English exams in general. I'm just going to repeat it, and that is, you need to submit an English exam if you have not studied in an English-speaking country. English-speaking countries are the UK, the United States, Australia, India, Canada, Singapore, you know, smattering of other small countries, but those are the smallest ones, biggest ones, sorry. There are no minimum scores except for the Concours d'admission directe, which is the admissions path for students who have studied their bachelor in France. For everyone else, everyone is asking me what grade we're looking for. I gave an average of grade of the IELTS of 6.5. So if, for example, you have a 6, that should be enough if the rest of your application is okay. For Cambridge, I don't know what the average is, but you are supposed to graduate ESCP with a C1 level or better. So if you have that, you're definitely good to go. Yeah, so that's what I can say about English language exams. Anything else you guys should add, or I pretty much cover it? It's good. My goodness. Rania is asking if we succeed at getting an apprenticeship, does that mean the company is paying for our tuition fee? Indeed, it does. Major advantage. But again, you're only eligible if you have if you are from the EU, if you have an EU nationality. I think the same person asked the question many times. They did. Holy, sorry. Oh boy, here's one for you, Yu-Ning. How are sports facilities at the Turin campus? It's the one campus I still haven't been to. Are there sports facilities there?
I think we do, at that time, we do have partnerships with gyms, and we had also like sports activities or sports days or something organized by the school. So it was quite cool. So yeah, on campus, of course not. Yeah.
But yeah, we have partnerships with gyms.
Yeah, they do. Or clubs, like sports clubs or something, where you have like tennis court or swimming pool. So it was quite cool. Yeah, exactly. So it was quite cool. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. How many, Sai is asking, how many degrees can we obtain in 2 years? 4. Yes, 4. What is approximately the acceptance rate for the MIM at ESCP? It depends upon the admissions path, but the average, all admissions paths, including the PreMaster, it's right around 15%. So pretty competitive. The admissions is, Ayush is asking, are the admissions rolling based or round based? They are round based. So we have so many admitted per round. Okay, Carla is being kind enough to answer a question that someone else answered, and that was about the Campus France Scholarship. And she's saying if it's the Eiffel Scholarship, you need to apply directly through ESCP. So the Eiffel Scholarship is a really, it's a good scholarship because it's worth a lot of money. I don't remember how much, but it's something like $1,100 per month or something like that. It's a pretty generous scholarship. I believe you have to study at least your first semester on the Paris campus. But you also, yeah, it's a scholarship that actually we're the ones who apply for you. So we are only allowed to put forth a certain number of students, and I couldn't tell you how many that is. We can only put forth so many students for that scholarship, and then it's Campus France, I guess. I didn't realize it was organized by Campus France. They're the ones who make the final decision. I know that typically, in a good year, we'll have 12 or 13 students who receive the Eiffel Scholarship. But the other very, very important thing to know is if you would like to apply for the scholarship, then you need to apply in round 1, absolutely, definitely, because otherwise you'll be too late. The Eiffel Scholarship deadline for us to submit our list of students is early December. So the only round that makes the deadlines in terms of publication dates, acceptance, students accepting their place, etc., is round 1.
There's a nice question on the student life. I mean, we're gonna try and answer with Yu-Ning, but we need to be honest with you. COVID has disrupted student life at the ESCP. On my end, what I can tell you is I've spent almost a full academic year on Paris campus. There is a lot to do, a lot of clubs, a lot of associations, as we say in French. So those are student-held clubs. So there's everything from wine to food tasting to golf to tennis to, those are the sports part, but you also have like photography, refugee aid, social activities. So that's really interesting. In the Paris campus, you also have a bar and a gym, which I don't know their state currently, if they're still open due to COVID restrictions, but I believe the gym is, for sure. They're opening, awesome. So there's that as campus life. And then Berlin, my stay in Berlin was impacted by COVID, so I couldn't tell you that. But London seems to have a lot of student life as well, and a lot of campus life. So there's quite a lot. And concerning which campus would you choose, to be honest, it's a personal decision, and it's a mix of everything. Each campus and each city has something to offer. So it's very much what you would like to do, but be careful, because when you get to specialize, not all campuses offer the same specializations. So you could potentially try and choose in function of that. Yu-Ning, do you want to speak about Turin's life?
Yes. So same as what Malaurie said, it actually, there's a lot to offer. So Turin campus, even though it's a new campus and it's a relatively small campus, but basically everybody knows each other kind of, because it's so small. And on campus, we also had a lot of student associations, student societies, student clubs, where you can apply to. And what's good about ESCP is that you can apply cross-campusly. So basically you can apply to the student association that you like to attend, maybe in Berlin while you are in Turin, for example. So actually which campus you are on is actually not really specific with regards to student association. Even though you're like, for example, I did my M1 online, it was still like as intense as if I was on campus, I would say, because there are a lot of group projects, and you know, I had a lot. I feel like I think I spoke English more than I spoke in Mandarin at the time, every single day. So you don't really need to worry about student life and, you know, campus life. It's of course impacted by COVID, but still a really, really good one, I would say, even if it's online. So yeah.
Great. Well, ladies, I'm very pleased to announce that you have answered 287 questions. I think that is a new record. You both will receive a prize, which will be, I don't know what, we'll figure something out. Thank you both so much for your help today. I really appreciate it. Can you please come back every time, because you guys were great. And thank you everyone who has managed to stay with us for the full 2 hours of this session. 43 people are still logged on. Doesn't mean they're listening, but thank you in any case so much for joining us today. I hope that we helped you. And again, feel free to reach out to us or to the admissions advisors if you have any additional questions.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jeanne. Thank you, Malaurie.
Yeah, thank you. Don't hesitate to contact us. You know our names. And go on the MIM website. There's plenty of other student ambassadors that will be delighted to answer your questions.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Ciao.